Problems for McNoon. Taking a lot of damage here from Godlike, but he gets out of the way. Maybe no. Flash auto there from Godlike after the dice. And we're talking about it. We get action in the jungle, though. Lucky gonna have to back off from his blue buff here. And no teammates really around, unfortunately. I think they swapped 2 back into the mid, but Royal just do not want to respond here, and Watch is gonna pick that up. Not hit level 3, unfortunately, but does steal away that blue buff from Jarvan. Godlike's actually down here, though. Watch has got to be pretty careful where he goes. He does flash over there. Godlike stuns him over the wall, but there's a great knock up, and Lucky gets the kill in there as well. Beautiful response here from Royal. Now the mid lane moves up. Kane, oh, the fail flash for Lulu. It has to hurt so bad. There's the double kill for Lucky. And everything just went horribly wrong for Najin's sword.
They forced the lane swap here, as we see White's is now bottom lane against Twisted Fate. We're 2v2 matchup, and that's a lot happening now. Now the top kill, we did miss most of it, but the one thing I can tell you is that Godlike hit level 2 before McNoon, and all ended when McNoon was level 1, and that little advantage with a red pot, that really sealed the deal.
Yeah, and a lot of that matchup is, I think, level based. Both Shen and Renekton need their abilities for different reasons in this matchup. Renekton obviously to be aggressive, and Shen in this case to just be safe or safer. And it's kind of hard for Shen to trade without levels in Warped Blade. Renekton gets a little bit more value earlier on, especially if he manages his Fury properly. So yeah, as you said, just kind of perfect play early on here from Godlike. He's doing it again actually to McNoon, and there's a Shadow Dash actually. The creeps there.
A turret dive coming in the mid lane here. Instant kill going down on Ezreal.
That was unexpected to say the least, as I just managed to flash over there to get Ezreal being killed. But Lucky is on a roll right now with 3 quick kills on jungle Jarvan. And getting a jungler a few early kills is never a bad thing, because they're often gimped for gold towards the mid game, and getting them a little bit of gold early on is nice here. And Jarvan can do a little bit of the snowballing here. I guess I wouldn't be as afraid if it was maybe Lee Sin, but I'm very curious to see what Lucky does here with his build actually, now that he has got 3 quick kills.
It's just interesting how top lanes become such a little kind of lane of advantages. Like really little subtle things can be all the difference. Now the red pot there would have been a factor. McNoon would have noted that, but I'm sure it would have been those exchanges where the Q AoE is probably what propped the level 2. Like, you know, they would have gotten a one-on-one engage at level 1. The Q AoE would have killed a creep to give him level 2 and then heal. And it's one of those cases where now you choose engages when you're just about to level up. I mean, little things like that. So big top line.
Yeah, White's here, gonna get stunned down the bottom by Twisted Fate. Watch coming in there for the Tempest Cripple, and White's is in a lot of trouble. Gets Q'd though, but a great Q in there from Watch. And Zed just cannot escape there. Uses all his gap closers to try and get out, but a sniper Q there from Lee Sin's gonna pick up the kill. And a little bit of breathing room now for Najin Sword. They get their first kill on the board, and thankfully it's in a lane where they're not already behind. So TF's gonna...
To answer your question, I mean, when it comes to Lucky here, he's gone for a very interesting choice. He's just rushed Wriggles. Now, we've seen a lot of people leaving a Magus Razor at that and building tanky otherwise. He had a lot of options. He had about 1,400 gold, maybe 1,450 gold. But the full-on Wriggles. Oh, see a turret dive almost up top. Godlike takes 3 shots, but gets away.
In fact, level 5.5 here is something important to note. McNoon, I mean, his ult doesn't matter nearly as much.
1 second cooldown pastry time. It's coming.
Godlike's going in as soon as he hits 6, without question.
And McNoon knows it.
Yeah, wisely backs away. And Lee Sin's going to come in to cover this lane. Watch also has to be careful, because he can quite easily get all interior as well. Jarvan is also being very sneaky here. Lucky is trying to use...
the Wriggles, but still really struggling.
Yeah, I mean, Sonder's now coming around the side as well. They've thrown down the pink board. Yeah, Jarvan has to get out. Realizes it too. And nice attempt from Lucky, I guess. We've seen a couple of sneaky dragons here and there, but unlucky, I suppose, there for Jarvan. He's not going to pick it up this time. I like Wriggles, though. I think it's kind of the best mixture of offense, defense, and utility that usually costs you so much gold that it's not worth getting early on as a jungler. But if you can get it early, it's just absolutely magic. It acts as a good offense item for Jarvan. It gives utility of a ward. It gives you good defensive stats, and it's a GP10. Like, if you can get it early as a jungler, it's everything you'd ever wanted and more, pretty much.
Now Sword, after that early kill down bottom without pushing a turret, have switched lanes here, which makes a lot of sense. As an AP mid, Song needs access to both the blue buff, and as Twisted Fate, he has that global where he wants to impact as many lanes as possible, so it makes 100% sense to switch him back mid.
Yeah, Godlike taking quite a bit of damage here. McNoon actually trading quite well, although Renekton has not been back since his last little exchange. And looks like he's probably going to back off now, give McNoon a little bit of breathing room there in the top lane. But a Giant's Belt already up for Renekton with a cloth armor. I can't imagine what he's coming back with next, but It's not going to make Macnoon's life any happier, although Ninja Tubby a very nice cost-efficient pickup here. And Chain Vest, all the armor right now for Renekton.
Seeing a lot of wave clear coming in mid. It looks like Watch has been just trying to keep tabs on whether Whites is using his W to facilitate wave clear and then trying to go for a game, but nothing afforded so far.
I think White certainly wants this matchup when he can get it too. I mean, they very clearly tried to get Zed versus TF here. And then, I guess...
Well, Zed's wave clear is just insane in the mid lane, this patch especially. I know there was 20 damage taken off his E in the later patch, so I don't know if that's affect skill order, but the only kind of balancing point there is that he has to sacrifice his only escape to push a lane. So there is that trade-off, and at least an amazing champion to profit from that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we see Zed, one of the few energy champions that consistently gets blue buff. We're likely going to see it here when it comes back up, but it was taken a little later here with that invade. Just trying to keep very careful tabs on both top and bot. I know that Godlike wants to go back in on Macnoon as soon as he can. And I know Lee Sin's down the bottom as well, so more than one person could explode here in the matter of about 10 seconds. Looks like down the bottom they're going in. Tabo and Ultimate has to be careful. But looks like Royal Smeller out down the bottom lane. It's going to stay safe. And Lee Sin wastes a bit of time then. Just hanging out in the bottom lane. Forced to recall. Just wasting time without farming.
CS value is actually, I mean, along with the kills, one of the big discrepancies here. Got 20 CS up on Godlike against Macnoon's Shen. 10 CS up in the mid lane for Zed. And 22 CS for Caitlyn against Prey.
So every little thing adding up here. The gold advantage not that large actually, given how the board looks.
It's still early.
Yeah, TF coming down. Oh, this could be very bad news for Sonu, who immediately flashes out. Wildcard's coming. True Shot Ride's going to pick it up there for Prey. And a little bit too far forward there were Royal. I mean, credit to Makaka. Oh my goodness, there's craziness happening. Macnoon getting chased by Godlike, and Lucky up in here as well. I think they could dive another turret if they wanted to, but I have to imagine Draven's skills are on cooldown. Lucky actually had his ultimate, weirdly enough. I don't know why he didn't want to use it. Definitely could have killed Shen there if they dove again. But I mean, they might just get a tally here. Godlike going in, Macnoon coming back in with a Stand United. Could all be a very epic bait, but he's gone back. He's already healed up. Lucky now could be in a bit of trouble. Godlike trying to come in now. So Lucky Runda still has his ultimate if they want to go back in. But no ultimates here for Renekton. And Lucky's got to be careful. He does manage to sneak out there with a flag toss combo. Leaves Godlike there to 1v2. And Godlike doing a pretty good job here. Watch has got to be careful. Does not have his ultimate left either. A Shadow Dash there from Macnoon's going to keep him safe for now. Godlike still chasing those Zeds up here as well. TF also roaming his way up top. But I think the rest of Royal are going to give it up here. And very, very sneaky play there from Lucky to get himself out of trouble. But
and Whites was almost splitting the difference there. He thought about the turret dive, he thought about the juicy TF chasing him, but ends up with neither.
Yeah. He just run back to mid lane. He's like, yeah, I guess I'll keep farming. And Godlike, no other kills, unfortunately. He's already doing well, 1-0-2, but I think he feels a little
didn't mention that facilitated by the roam, mid turret down for Najin Sword here.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I mean, oh man, Song now as he gets all in by Zed. Oh, Whites misses all his abilities there in mid. Deathmark procs for very little damage here, unfortunately, so bit of a miss.
He couldn't have been gold carded at a worse time.
Yeah, actually.
It was just as the proc had started, so he managed to get very little follow-up damage, so smart play there from Song.
Keeps himself pretty happy. I mean, those are the things you need to know about Zed. TF is one of those just... No one ever thinks he has that much CC, but the cooldown of pick a card is so low that you really can change some people. Kind of gives me...
Well, I mean, the kind of flash fact that everyone knows is a 2-second stun on a 6-second cooldown as the game gets a bit later.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive. It's not quite like Kennen level multiple AoE chain stunning, but it's pretty good. As Dragon goes down there for sword.
It's why you see those builds with the likes of Twin Shadows, Lichbane. I mean, Lichbane has multiple uses, but the move speed's something he craves because although he doesn't have that burst damage, so much consistent damage that can be afforded by Chain CC.
Yeah, I mean, earlier on he has decent burst if you can get, say, a quick Lichbane. That's often what we see. A lot of TF players like to get it early if they can. I mean, obviously in this case, Song's probably going to go for a Zhonya's, mainly to get out of Zed's way, who's obviously looking to all in him at every possible moment, and boots of mobility actually up for Song here. So gonna opt for that instead. Amplifying tone now up as well. So not gonna be a super fast Zhonya's at any rate, but should have it within a reasonable time frame. Ooh, interesting here from Ezreal. This is not the live patch. It is just one patch before the patch that the IM World Championships that will be played on. It is One patch behind. The Thresh patch, essentially.
So you're saying the Blade of the Ruined Kings come early? The
Yes,
League
it
of Blade
has.
of the Ruined Kings come early?
Yeah, maybe Prey's just practicing. I don't know, but he does have a Blade of the Ruined King here. And it is not nearly as good as it currently is on live. And that back is going to cost them bottom turret, unfortunately. Just kind of got pushed out of lane there. There's nothing else they could do. Uzi with great CS, as we pointed out. I don't know, what do you think of Blade of the Ruined King in this state, I suppose, in this instance?
Look, I think it's still a very strong item. On Ezreal, I'm not so sure. I mean, he does have a natural attack speed story, so he can get the damage out, but it's just not usually the pickup. Oh, we're going to see Twist Fate coming in top.
Yeah, dominance activated there from Godlike. He's trying to get out. He's all in there, but Macnoon with a great shadow dash to keep Renekton in play. Macnoon going to take a lot of damage, but not enough to get himself killed. And Song there doing work now for his team, roaming now top and bot to help them out. And especially top lane was a desperately need a bit of assistance there from Twisted Fate. And Godlike finally, he gets slain. 1-1-2 now is his score.
So the gold leads, you know, it's all tied up, but the turrets are very important here. They have complete vision around Dragon here, a massive Dragon vision advantage afforded by being able to push lanes further into the Najin sword territory. So they're going to have to try and translate that into a Dragon or some objectives, otherwise they'll start to give away this early lead.
Macnoon actually comes down the bottom trying to protect Prey here from Zed, who's going very deep in there. Lucky in as well, activates Cataclysm though. Prey already out there as White gets very, very low. And now Watch coming in. Macnoon does manage to pick up the kill there onto Zed. Good crescendo there from Mikako Tabe. Protects the rest of his team. But there's Lulu coming in with the flash slow. Tags two of them actually as Lucky and Uzi both get hit by Glitter Lance. But a Q there from Watch misses everybody. And I think, yeah, that's going to be the end of that run there. No TF, the ultimate that time, which they would have absolutely loved to have there. But a nice response there.
The one person being well held here is Whites. He's 0-2 on Zed. He's farmed up a Storm, but hasn't got the early kills out.
No, and the snowball, I guess, playing on, by the way. So I guess they're just either saying, hey, we both got the same problem, we'll keep playing, or hopefully it fixes itself, I guess, is the other solution. Somewhat amusing, I suppose, but hopefully whatever the problem is, remedies itself here. But for whatever reason, the teams are deciding to play on, so kudos to them.
As long as it's a level playing field, pace your time.
Sure. Godlike here going to pick up top tower, so 3 outer turrets going to get picked up here by Royal. We did see
For those viewers who might be wondering, Godlight is maxing his E second, the slice and dice.
Which is standard at this point, after down
Well, I mean, Macnoon at the OGN Champions was maxing W second and said that was his style choice there, so I don't feel like there's complete agreement over what the best course of action is.
That's fair. I guess I should amend that to, that's what Darian did, and that seems to be what a lot of other Renekton players are doing. To be fair though, Godlike has likely been playing Renekton for a little while. He's actually going to find himself in a spot of bother as Macnoon and Song come on him. Kane in there as well, misses there, but has to flash over the top. Thankfully that Q from Lee Sin just missed there, and he'll make Baron a little bit angry, but that's okay. He'll just keep walking.
I mean, to defend your point, I mean, how many things recently have been taken from the Book of Gambit? I mean,
yeah.
Lock of Divine Solari's popularity, Zinjao's popularity,
Even
Volibear to some extent.
And certainly Renekton. So yeah, I mean, as I said, I think Godlike has plenty of experiences on Renekton. Although, I guess it's hard to say how much. He has apparently only been playing for about 6 months, which is pretty insane.
He's in that time done some very impressive things.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost half as young as the actual Team Royal itself, which is also very crazy.
Looks like we're going to see the last Whisper pickup coming out from Zeddy. Usually we like to see the Bloodthirster a bit earlier, or the aforementioned Blade of the Ruined King, but looking like he's going to try and penetrate the armor so that while he'll still do strong damage to the squishies, he'll do relatively a lot more damage than more tankier Lee Sin and Shen here as well.
So bottom lane we've got TF coming in, Mikako Tabe probably going to be the target. Song gets out of the way of Uzi's damage, and Tabe does indeed fall there to Prey. Uzi now running away. Jarvan actually gets kicked.
That was an outstanding crescendo there, I have to say. The crescendo hit the moment that Twisted Fate popped. He knew the exact time that it would take for Destiny to go through, and got stunned straight away, but still fell.
Yeah, still paid for it, unfortunately. Crescendo, I mean, that was essentially Tabe just saving the rest of his team.
It's a little thing, but we see so many Messiah-like baits with the use of TF Salt and Zonias and the like, that to know timing on channel spells like that so well is impressive.
Yeah, Caitlyn has really been milking the bottom lane, I have to say. There's a lot of farm coming on down here, and Uzi's been bullying Prey, actually, pretty significantly. The CS is close to 50 up for Caitlyn, and that Bloodthirster is really just, I mean, you saw Kayn actually just used her ult there on Ezreal, and even though there was a pick shield there from Lulu, still took a pretty massive chunk of damage. Lucky is also got these oracles on quite early. He's trying to set up here. He's clearing out wards. I think Najin Sword have to be careful here. They have to know something's up, but...
We'll remind the chat here that this is not the live patch right now. The Blade of the Ruined King here is the previous iteration without attack speed and without the executability.
Yeah, so still has the active. It's still steals movement
Still
speed.
5%. Still, it gives 45 AD instead of the current 30, I believe. It doesn't give attack speed.
That's correct.
And the active scales with AD.
Yeah. Alright, McNoon's coming in there on the watch. They want to go in. Deathmark coming out onto Lee Sin. He will go down quite quickly. White's tanking quite a few people, chasing down Kayn as that support quickly goes down. Great flash there from Uzi. Gets his way back into the team fight. Lucky though, Cataclysms the rest of Najin sorted. McNoon completely caught between terrain there as well. Now Lucky knocks the rest of them up. Prey taking stupid damage, and Song clearly going to fall here as the last member for a very, very clean ace there from Royal. And
what a heroic Cataclysm there, Pastry Time. The terrain had the added advantage of trapping in 2 carries and forcing McNoon to be in just a horrible, horrible situation. And they're going to try and turn it into a Baron.
yeah, I mean, Royal have got great DPS here, so they can likely take this pretty fast Baron. I guess they're sad they don't have a Blade of the Ruined King at this point, but they'll be doing just fine here.
You don't have everything.
No, you can't. They'll trade tank effectively. They've got to be careful. I mean, Prey thankfully is not alive, so two-shot Bribe not an option. But a very calculated Baron there from Royal, and I cannot stress how incredible that team fight was. So many little things added up there for Royal, but they played that absolutely flawlessly.
And it was KTB and Frost to different extents that really were picked up by the fantastic team fighting that Sword had on display. That team fight was all about Royal.
It was. And as we said, every little thing added up there. That Jarvanot was perfectly placed. Watch here. Going in there, activates the Q. Uzi being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Watch is just waiting to kick Caitlyn back. In fact, Lee Sin's like, oh wait, what? You're still alive? There's the flash Q. So Watch does have to burn a summoner, but does secure that kill. I think was...
it's something.
Yeah, certainly. I think was a bit ambitious about Prey's damage there on that ultimate, but does manage to secure it in the end. If he'd used his ultimate, that would have been a very dead Caitlyn, probably without burning his summoner spell. But hey, he was trying to be nice and leave it for his AD. The rest of Royal, however, will actually come back in now. McNoon going to take a little bit of damage from Jarvan, but Royal are mainly defending their top turret here. And they'll still...
They're just trying to show presence with the Baron buff to say, hey, I know we know it's 4v5, but you don't want to dive this.
Yeah. Uzi actually had Cleanser as well, so there's very little Caitlyn could do there, it seems like. And yeah, poor Uzi just a little bit too far forward, and you got to be careful against Twisted Fate where you recall especially. Because when that ultimate goes off, if you're in the wrong spot, you're probably going to get yourself killed. Najin Sword here, a 3-man push mid, but Royal are going to use this opportunity to try and get a tier 2 turret here in the top lane. Bottom outer turret also taking a bit of damage on the blue side as well.
And Royal are trying to pick up a turret of their own, the inner turret here. They pinged onto McNoon. The dive here will waste a lot of time. I think they just want to pick up the turret.
Yeah, Lucky just distracting Shan essentially. Zoning him out from under the turret, so making sure he can't interfere. Song down the bottom going to pick up that tower, so boots and mobility coming in handy there. Home guard.
2 outer turrets for an inner turret, definitely almost an even trade to some degree. The gold is definitely in the advantage of Sword, but picking up an inner turret is always a win, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to measure towers in terms of, like, obviously gold is very easy because it's a flat amount. And yes, in this case, 2 turrets are, I mean, they're all worth the same amount of gold, so 2 turrets are worth more than 1 in terms of pure gold value, but the amount of space turrets, the amount of map control turrets give you definitely varies from turret to turret. And generally, you know, the closer to the base they are, the better. I mean,
and one of the reasons that some people don't understand or don't think about is when you have an inner turret down at the top side here, the amount of extra Baron control that gives you is massive because the creep wave is going to push further. There's going to be more creeps to deal with. The creeps, I believe, slightly stronger. So when you come to get Baron, if you can have both outer turrets down towards the top of the map, again, another advantage for getting Baron.
And this trade, not good now for Najin Sword. I mean, Shen here has his ultimate. He can come in if he needs to, but they're going to trade, I mean, 3 outer turrets probably at this point for 2 inners and a little bit of inhibitor turret damage. And
well, they lost the last fight, so they have to be careful with how they use the Shen ult here because they know that even Lee Sin got instantly bursted down the last fight.
Yeah. And Baron buff has old man Tabe heroic ult there as Kane's going to get melted. Song getting jumped on by Zed in there as well. McNoon does use his ultimate, but Prey completely jumped on there by Renekton, and Jarvan as Lucky picks that one up. No, sorry, that was actually Godlike who picks it up with a little bit of Renekton damage. And McNoon's ult there, not nearly enough to save what happened to that poor duo lane there. And Tabe again with a great Sonar ult to initiate this time around. And Royal just all the advantage right now. Picking up that mid inhibitor, picking up the mid inhibitor turret. And 2 clean kills as well to show for it.
You might think that using that many resources on a support might be to the detriment of the rest of their fight, but Lulu gives so much of Sword's teamfight control here. I mean, after the Shen ult, think about what Lulu provides. She died with her ultimate, which will give someone 300 health and a massive AoE slow, and summon a heal up. So she has so much teamfight control just between her ultimate and summoner spells, let alone her other 3 spells, that to burst her down, teamfight after that is pretty much lost for Sword.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how people's ideas of target priority in teamfights and how that works. Obviously, you generally want to kill the support last, but I think it's underappreciated that if you can get a clean kill on a support, it's always worth going for it if you can get it. And that was a very obvious instance of why that's good and where to utilize that correctly, because Kayn, as you said, died with literally every single cooldown available.
Now, if she died and was able to get the ult and the summoner heal off and then died, that's a massive swing in terms of how important she is. So you really have to burst her down straight away, and you have to look at her items and say, hey, will she die during the duration of our CC?
Turns out the answer was yes that time. And the response after that from Royal, they immediately jumped on both carries. And as you said, with Lulu down, there's just not a whole lot else that Sword can do. And both Prey and Song got just completely jumped on. Zed jumped on TF, and Jarvan and Renekton just bodied Frey there.
Now, the dangerous thing for Sword here is that, you know, Baron's going to come in, what, maybe 2 minutes or so?
2 or 3 minutes.
How are they going to be in a position to contest for it, given they have their inhibitor down in mid, their inner turret down up top? And, you know, they really don't feel like they can't be confident about picking a team fight anytime soon. They have to make something happen. And I mean, Twisted Fate, we all know he can do that. He can make so many players, but one needs to come right now.
Oh, missed ult there from Tabe. Finally misses one. Macnoon here actually in the top lane pushing. He's kind of lucky that this tier 2 turret's not dead, because he actually doesn't have his ultimate. He's come back now, of all times, when he kind of doesn't need to, but looks like Royal are just going to peel off and take Dragon here for a bit of extra gold. I mean, a lot of what Swords Comp does is have good global presence, so they certainly have the ability to be where they need to be on the map, but they have to execute carefully and, as you kind of said, make plays. They've got to pick somebody important off. But they just have never been able to get to either carry. I mean, White is kind of going in anyway, but even with all the burst damage that Royal are presenting with their AD comp, no one from Sword is getting to Caitlyn. And that consistent DPS is really putting Royal over the top in terms of team fight.
The one kind of respite they have to the pressure, like what Royal's doing here should win out every time, but Shen being able to be mid to hold this lane against the super creeps, very important.
Yeah, watch here. Going to take a little bit too much damage. Sanji United gets used in there. Royal taking a few too many turret hits here. Godlike taking a lot of damage. Finally uses Dominus at the last second. And Tabe's no ultimate, I believe, has to be careful. No, the rest of Royal trying to run away. It'd be a miracle if they don't get anybody killed. They're lucky they're going very deep in there. There's a kill for Uzi. Cataclysm to cut off Song and Macnoon, who's very, very low. White's there picks up a kill onto Prey. Song uses his Zhonya's, but he's probably still going to die at this point. Turns around, tries to pick off Lucky. Does not pick up Godlike, who's still running around with red life, by the way. Probably does not want to get killed by Lulu, but got enough health back after that. They're going to chase down Kayn as well for the ace. And again, Royal, I mean, that was not ideal at that spot, but they
talk about the red life pastry time. We got 3 people flashing here, and yet they were still able to win the fight without a member going down. Fantastic team fight from Royal.
And that's
twice.
A good game. I have to assume anyway. I heard the chat. I heard a lot of things going back and forth, and Royal, I don't know if it's worth calling it an upset, but that was a...
It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, OGN champions here, pastry time. The pedigree is unquestionable, and Royal, while they had the names, and the World Elite Manager said it best when he said on paper, they look like they could be the strongest team in China.